Hi, I'm Trey and welcome to another of my colouring tutorials. I recently did a tutorial on doing a mermaid's body and I'm going to finish off that mermaid's body by doing the fins today, so this is another challenge for me. On the previous tutorial I used Arteza pencils and I'll be doing the same again, but I'll be doing the fins in a different colour and seeing what kind of effect I can get with the colour range I've picked. And again, this is from the book Mermaid Special, the Colour in Heaven issue, and it's artwork by Anastasia Elly Koldareva, one of my favourite artists. I love her stuff. So I hope you find this useful. Oh, this is the design I'm working on. I've done the body as I mentioned on a different video. I'm going to be focusing on this area. There are other parts of the design that's got fins, that's here and to the side. However, I've decided just to do this larger part on the video because I'm going to do the same for the other bits. I needn't repeat myself on that. So, Arteza pencils, as I did for the body, only a different colour. I'm going to be using yellow, jasmine yellow number 102, orange, pumpkin orange 112, blood orange 114, and to try and darken it in a bit more, I'm going to use a brown. Well, actually it's a red, it's a garnet red 213. See how this works. Now I'm going to work with my lightest areas first, and I'll be using light pressure, just skimming the page. Now the design has a little bit of line art shading in, so I'll be using that to guide me. But there's these sections of the fin that's, looks like they should be highlighted. So I'm going to do that first, the most obvious parts. I tend to look at a design and for highlights quite often, if the design looks like it's been drawn so a part is raised upwards or curled upwards, that's what I use to do highlights. Now they're the obvious highlights, and in between the raised areas there are shaded areas, but also a lighter section. I'm going to put this yellow down because I am going to be going over it in these sections with the light orange, but I want that part to be even lighter than the orange I'm using. So I'm going to put this yellow down to lighten up the colour I'm actually going to be putting down in that section. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want it to be slightly darker than the raised areas, but not as dark as the sides. So that is the lightest colour, that's my lightest yellow that I've put down. Now I'm going to be using the lightest orange, I'm using the 112, and I'm going to be following the shading areas in the design, and that's the edging of the highlighted sections and a little bit into the middle. I might adjust it as I'm going along, I'll see how I feel about it as it's progressing. I tend to do that. I have an idea in my head how I would like it to look, but obviously sometimes, you know, as you colour and you're going along, you think, oh no, actually that piece seems to look nicer lighter, or it might look better darker. And you just extend it and adjust. It's all done by eye, and I suppose it's personal as well. This is my personal ideas of how I do my shading to get some interesting effects. Now the lighter yellow I put down originally for in the middle sections, I've decided to leave it yellow for now and to see how this progresses, the darkening of it, of the edges with the other colours. Now I'm going to be using the blood orange, the 114, and going along the edges again, only covering part of what I've just done with the lighter orange. It's building up the shading to hopefully give a beveled effect. And now I'm going to try the darkest colour, which is the Garnet Red 213, to darken in the edges of those sections I've just coloured, going over the orange I've just put down, just to see how this darkens in. And after that, I'll be able to see how I want to adjust it. You know, if I want more dark or more light, and which colours to extend. Now I've got the colours down that I want to be using, including the darkest colour, I can get an idea of how the highlights are working. And now that I've looked at it and I've got some layers down, I am going to leave some yellow in the middles of parts of these, just to give it a more of a beveled effect, because when you put dark on the sides of a shape and light in the middle, it makes it look like it's bent upwards, and I like that effect. So obviously I need a lot more layers on this, which doesn't need to be done on camera. I'm going to be going over all of those layers again. There's little bits of light shading, and I will be darkening those with the light orange to go over the yellow, and we'll see how that works as well. So yes, I've got a few more layers to put down on this before it looks anything like, and also before I think about if I'm going to blend it. So I'll do that off camera and I'll come back to this. I've managed to get 4 layers of each of those colours down. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get much more colour down, but I think it's ready for a little bit of a blend, and hopefully that will finish off the piece. Let's see how it goes. I'm going to use a blender pencil, a Koino blender pencil, and I've got a few of these. I kind of like these, they're nice pencils. So I'm doing the blending for the light sections first. That's the yellow sections, the highlighted sections. So I don't want too much of the orange to go into that area. Just using light pressure, just to smooth it out a little bit. Now I'm going to clean off the pencil, get that yellow off, and now I'm going to try and blend the orange areas without going too much into the yellow. Because these pencils are quite soft cord, they don't always keep a good point, so the narrower areas have actually gone into the yellow. Can't be helped really. I mean, I'd have to use a different pencil, but I wanted to try and keep using these colours and this brand of pencil. I often find that with soft core pencils, when you're doing a neat area and it doesn't keep its point, and then it bleeds into another area that you wanted to keep a different colour. It can be a bit frustrating. However, if you use a harder pencil to do the effect you want, you don't always get the blend. So it's just deciding on what you think's okay. I could have done this with a harder pencil, but I like the blending and the colour choices for these pencils. So I'll live with a little bit of the fact I've lost some of the yellow areas. Now that's at large finished. I like the effect. I've managed to get a nice beveled effect by leaving the central sections lighter. And I'm going to do something similar. I'm going to do all the other fins in the same colour and a similar technique, depending on how the shading works. It is slightly different in the other sections. And the colour as well, I think, works really well. I'm not 100% sure on the rest of the colours for this design yet. I'm still working that out. Well, that's the end of this tutorial. I've really enjoyed working with this project, what I've done so far on camera. I hope that anybody who's watched this have found it useful. The artwork is just lovely to work with. It's very detailed and it's a challenge to figure out how you're going to shade it to get the best effect. That fin was a good one I failed to do on camera to show how I'm trying to get certain shaded effects, and so I do hope anybody else has found that useful. My colour scheme for the rest of this project, I'm not sure yet, but I'll work out things that will complement it for all the shells that's behind the mermaid and of course her hair. So I'll be posting this up completed on my page later on, probably next month. It'll take me a while to finish this. So I'll say bye for now, and I'll see you in the near future with a different colouring tutorial or craft tutorial.